What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast. Um, as we're looking here at these charts, we see a history of market cycles that have occurred, through, let's see, as far as you can look back, 47 seems to be like the oldest based on this chart. And here, this individual says, my sense is that 2023 will be a sideways, choppy market with one or more retests of the 2022 low, but not necessarily much worse than that. Either way, I don't think we're close to a new cyclical bull market yet. And we're interesting a very interesting time period um, where there are different forces at play, right? If you follow Mike Maloney, you know that he was talking about a inflationary period followed by a deflationary period, and then he expects more of like a hyperinflationary period in the long term. And so, what that looks like, I highly recommend you watch his Hidden Secrets of Money for the end game of where this all leads to. It's very insightful. Another thing here is now this is an interesting trend about the working class and how the pandemic has shifted trends in the labor force, and specifically in for work from home type of roles. Now we see with the wage growth at generational highs alongside weak labor supply, uh, it's almost as if workers have more leverage, or they feel like they have more leverage than ever before. And you can see here during 2019, there was a peak for search or interest for work from home jobs. And it's, has a steady trend in that direction. Now you look at this other chart, you see this is interesting too, because job openings are concentrated in industries with heavy close quarters customer interaction and are often the most overworked sectors. And here he's saying, is it any surprise that they're seeing record job openings in a post-pandemic economy while the likes of Apple and Amazon freeze is happening? So essentially, companies like Amazon and Apple and all these others that have work from home roles, they've currently froze hiring. And there's other dynamics, of course, but these consumer facing roles, no one really wants them. They want the flexibility of being at home. And you can see that in these charts, job openings in terms of percentages since January of 2021. And you see these are going up steadily. And food service, entertainment, right? So something to keep note of and analyze. Here is a video of debt. And currently we're in this slave system where you need increasing levels of debt in order to maintain the living standard. So check this out.
America's never going to pay its debts. It doesn't have to. Its debts are in its own currency. We can simply print it. The African debt is not in its currency. The African debt is in U.S. dollars. Africa has to earn the U.S. dollars, and the only way it can earn the U.S. dollars is not to be assassinated for growing its own food and becoming independent and doing something that the United States does not like. The principle underlying the foundation of the World Bank is that no country should grow its own food. Africa and the third world should only grow export crops. To export, in order to have an oversupply of cocoa and other tropical raw materials, to keep down the price, they must buy their grain from the United States or Europe, so that if they do something that we don't like, we can do what America tried to do to China in the 60s. We can sanction them. We can say, we're going to starve you. We're going to not export any grain to you. So owing their foreign debt in dollars means that they have to somehow sell something that the United States wants, not what they want. I think the most evil organizations in the world today are the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
And there you have it. So the debt system is basically a system that enslaves entire nations. And currently, because of the U.S. dollar standard, um, there's a lot of countries bear the weight of of what it takes to be able to, maintain their living and their living standards in those nations. Albeit it may not be anything in comparison to the U.S., but in order for them to get the U.S. dollars, they have to work along with this system, or else it'd be even worse. So here we see the U.S. is using the Fed discount window, and last time this started going up was during the Great Financial Crisis, and you're seeing here that it spiked in 2020, early 2020. It went down, but now you're starting to see a steady increase up. So this seems to be like it's a sign of banking stress. And who's in trouble? Well, that can show up sooner or later. Here we see migrants are getting hit by cars as they cross the roads near the Texas border, and they've declared a state of emergency. And so this is interesting to monitor. But there's a lot of opinions on this from both ends. However, at one point, you obviously feel for the people, but at the same time, there's resources being allocated to these folks instead of U.S. citizens, and so you have to consider there's proper avenues in which this can be done, and a lot of these people that come crossing sometimes can be trafficked, and so. But anyways, this is currently the crisis that's happening at the border. Here we see the demographic decline of America. You see, households with children has crossed the amount of people who are living alone. And it says for the first time ever, there are more occupied housing units with people living alone than with children under 18. So a lot of people nowadays are simply not having kids. So it's a change in the trend for society. Here, Argentina won the World Cup, and they had been experiencing surging inflation, the likes of 88%. But that is done by the wayside because their national team won the World Cup. It says here, prices rose by 88% over the last 12 months in South America, the South American country, while their peso has lost 30% of its value. But, I mean, this will distract them in the meantime, and that's what it is. Give the people bread and circuses, and they won't revolt. So, with that in mind, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.